Everything is fine here on Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. I'm Mike, joined by Bogey. Dustin was going to be here, but his kids woke up right before we started. So unfortunately, he's not able to make it. Maybe he'll make a little guest appearance and jump in and then jump off, but we'll see. He's not quite the night owl as both Bogey and I are, as we were talking about before we jumped on. I will just get to the business elements to kick it off. Hit that subscribe button, like, download, review, rate, all of the above. We greatly appreciate any little thing that you can do. Definitely helps us get our name out there amongst all the other Star Wars channels and podcasts that exist. So again, hit that subscribe button. Also, the chat is up and running. We're hitting 100% on this every time. I feel like I might not have to say that anymore. But bring us your opinions, your ideas, your thoughts, reactions, everything, because we're going to be talking Skeleton Crew episode 3 today. So bring in all the reactions. We are here to react to that show. So I will put the spoiler tag as well. Spoilers, if you have not seen episode 3 of the Skeleton Crew, which is titled very interesting, as in, what is it, Astrogation Problem? I don't know. That's a big word. I'm not good with words. So, but episode 3. So if you haven't seen it yet, go or put us on pause, go watch it, and then come back and turn us on. So that sounded weird. Come back and turn us on. Come back and listen to what we have to say. Maybe that's a better way to put it. How you doing, Bogey?
Doing good.
Good,
Mixed
good.
mixed emotions on this episode, but yeah,
Oh, okay. Mixed emotions. I like it.
we'll see where the discussion goes. So,
Uh,
but I'll say I'll definitely give it a thumbs up.
okay.
It's not no none of these.
No,
It's
none of that.
the thumbs
But
up.
but it's not even this. It's still a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So but it was a lot. I think this third episode was a lot
Yeah.
of like
Well,
different things. You almost
let's start off with that. Why don't you elaborate on that? We'll start there.
I felt like the episode was a lot in for something that could have been two episodes,
Okay.
if that makes sense. Like where you could have like expanded about different pardon me, aspects of like Jude Law's character. I put his what's his name?
Jod. Well,
It's
we get
Jordan.
two names. Well, to your point, there's a lot going on. We get two names for him in
Yeah,
this episode.
yeah. No, to my point exactly. And does he have Jedi powers? Is he really a Jedi or not? I don't know. Just like there's a lot that like was too much for maybe what 40 minutes of screen time we got. So
So let me ask you a question. Would you prefer these episodes being longer? He's thinking.
uh no, but if they could, I would be disappointed if the following episodes are not as
Okay.
fulfilling as this. You know what that means? Like you have a pot pie and just like blows in your face. But then you get the next two episodes. You're like, well, it's kind of like Christmas Vacation where you poke the turkey and all of a sudden just like nothing. There's nothing there. So it's like I hope they're not putting too much in the first couple episodes, and then all of a
And
sudden
then it like
like it
trails off a little bit.
exactly yeah.
Oh, I love that comparison. I mean, it's tis the season, right? Christmas time's coming, so Christmas Vacation is probably the best Christmas movie out there. You can't go wrong. Shitter's full. So, um,
There's ball.
uh, well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you that same question in a different format because we get 8 episodes. The first one was like 49 minutes, and then the last two have been 30 some minutes. So I'm guessing it's gonna all the episodes are gonna be like the 30 to 40 range. Usually the first episode and the last episode are a little longer, but then in the middle it's about, 30 to 40 minutes probably. Would you rather have how it is now, 8 episodes, we'll say 30 to 40 minutes, or would you rather have 40 episodes that are like hour 15 minutes?
That's a good question. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean,
So are you impartial? It doesn't really matter to you?
yeah, I mean, if it's good quality, you could drag out a good content of, or like for example, this episode, you cram too much, where you're like, this could have been two episodes.
Sure.
I don't know. Like, what's your thoughts?
I would rather have probably 4 episodes that are longer. Um, I now I say that I agree with your point. Like if it's good quality, it's kind of nice to drag it out. It sucks because you're waiting for the next episode, but at the same time, like it's kind of allowing you to enjoy it for a longer period of time. But I feel like, and I don't know if it's a product of the recent shows we've had when it's come to Star Wars, but it's like I don't know, you wait so long to get 30 minutes. And, shows like Clone Wars, like animated ones, those are better at the like 20 to 30-minute mark. But when it's live action, I kind of would prefer longer episodes, especially when it like Star Wars is more known for like feature film type things. Like, I want more content. Like, there's so many questions I always have coming out of episodes that I feel like if there were less episodes but longer episodes, I would obtain more of that information in one sitting. I mean, it could also be a product of now having a child and like not having as much time. So it's like I need this information faster because I don't have the time to do it. I but even before I had a Jackson, I feel like longer episodes I appreciate more. So that would be my answer. There's no right or wrong answer to it. I was just curious on how you would feel about it because we've had such questions before that Dustin and I have talked about, or Greg and I. So I was just curious on what your take was on that. Um, all right. So you gave it thumbs up. Uh, I would I'm giving it 2 thumbs up. I'm really enjoying this show
Really?
so far. Yeah,
Two thumbs up.
I 2 thumbs up. I
Give
just
me give me the one and give me the two. Why are you giving it two? I mean, I'll definitely give it a one. I mean,
I, I mean the first thumbs up I'm giving because we're getting a good show. I feel like this is actually a good show. Some of the stuff that we've gotten recently has not really hit the mark or met expectations. Andor I really love. Ahsoka's good. The other shows have good elements to it. I'm gonna put this around the Ahsoka level.
okay, okay, yep,
It feels Star Wars to me. It really does. You're getting a lot more aliens. You're in space. There's all these ships and fighting that's already happening. It's not like wars or anything, but and I don't like the pirate element to it. Like, it really feels like it's hitting the mark. Like, I never I never thought I shouldn't say I never thought Star Wars and pirates would mix very well because we do see pirates in Star Wars, but like the way the show is portraying Star Wars pirates, it's like it's awesome. It's like Pirates of the Caribbean in the Star Wars universe. The music and everything is just fitting great. And then the second thumbs up I'm giving because the acting is surprisingly really good. I mean, Jude Law, come on. I mean, coming into the show, I feel like we knew Jude Law was going to do well. I'm just thinking of that scene when they're on the ship in this episode and they're all looking at him and he's just like eating that food and he's just I'm like, Jude, man, you're a good actor. This is great. It was making me laugh. But even the kids are doing a great job. Wim, that kid's got a profession in the future. He, he's a great actor for a kid. I mean, so many, even Star Wars shows as of recent, I feel like the kids kind of seem a little, there's a kid element to it, so you give them a little grace. But these kids are acting and performing very well for a show. So that's where my second thumbs up is coming through.
yeah. And I felt like I totally feel what you're saying, but they come like in bits and pieces. Jude Law, his character definitely carried this episode three.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you felt that way. Um, the constant curiosity, like, okay, what's your thought? I'm going to tell you right now. What's your thought? Is he a Jedi or not?
I don't think so. I
But
don't
how
think
is he doing what he's doing?
I think he has force powers. I think he's able to do that,
So
but
he's like force sensitive, but not
not a
trained.
Jedi.
Okay.
And I have my theory behind it, and we'll get it to it
Well,
later in the show.
okay.
But
Okay.
and I told Bogey before we jumped on, because so I watched this. Bogey fell asleep, not during the episode, but before we started recording.
Yeah, it was so
uh,
bad I fell asleep. No, I just took a nap. Next, you know, I'm like 2 hours later. I'm like, oh damn it.
he took a nap and then he woke up like right when I finished. He's like, "Oh crap, I fell asleep. I haven't watched it yet. I'm gonna watch it now." And Dustin was like trying to get his kids to sleep. And I'm like, "Don't worry about it. Just watch it now. It gives me an opportunity to watch it a second time," which I was so happy. I was actually happy about that because I'm watching it the first time and taking my notes as I'm watching. So you put your head down once in a while. The second time, I got to just watch it all the way through. You know, paid 100% attention to it. And I picked up on this on the second time, my theory. So I'll get to that later. But to answer your question, I don't think he's a Jedi. I think he has force abilities. And he even said in the show, like, everyone I don't know how he phrased it, but it was something along the lines of like the force, works through everyone. So he definitely has an understanding of the force. I don't think it's necessarily smoke and mirrors. And I only say that because the scene where they're escaping and he distracts the prison or the guards. Like the key, he could have set that up. When we first saw that in episode 2, be like, okay, maybe you're using magnets, or I made the correlation to Obi-Wan Kenobi show where that guy is pretending to be a Jedi and he used tricks. But when they're leaving or escaping and he does like that distraction to the guards, that was like, okay, maybe he does actually have force powers. Um,
Because
so
that
yeah,
one scene made me think of when he used the Force, kind of made me think of Obi-Wan on the
yeah,
Death Star when he like.
exactly.
So I was like, well, how else is that making that noise? Like he
So
must
what?
be.
So what do you think? Do you think he's?
I think he's Force sensitive
Do
or
you think
whatever
it's a
you want to
Jedi?
call it. Um, I'm trying to think of like all my notes. I'm thinking like I think he is,
Okay, and he might be.
but you think different. You think he's not.
Yeah, but I could be wrong. I
No. Here we go. This is the conversation that we go so back and forth. So,
exactly.
just there's too much evidence of like me thinking like I thought the first two episodes. No, I was skeptical. This episode totally told me like, yeah, I think he might be a Jedi. What was your kind of like first three episodes? Would you think you're saying no, he's not a Jedi or
Yeah, because I don't think he's been necessarily telling the truth the whole time.
oh, for sure. Yeah.
But there was that scene in this episode where the kids were like, "Well, you're a Jedi," or something along the lines, and he responded, "Well, I never said that." And I think he was being honest there. So I don't, and it could be like he's not a Jedi now and he used to be. That I could see that in terms of like he has been trained in the Jedi ways, or maybe he was a Padawan, a young little kid back during Order 66 or something like that. You know, like what Riva was in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. So I could see something like that. And maybe he is a Jedi and just in hiding because his way of hiding is being a pirate. I mean, it makes sense if you're trying to not be discovered, what better route than becoming a pirate? I mean, obviously, like no one's going near these pirates, so probably a safe route to go. Um, but at least in terms of right now, I don't think he's a Jedi, but I could be wrong, and I'm excited to find out. I think it'd be cool if he does turn out to be a Jedi. I mean, it would be like they're making you think he is a Jedi up front, and then in the middle you're like, oh well, he's not anymore, and then at the end, oh actually he was. And it would kind of, it'd be cool too because then it would bring like confirmation to Wim's kind of dream, because he's like the poor kid, he's like dreaming of everything Jedi, like, oh it's a Jedi temple and it's not a Jedi temple. Oh, we've discovered a Jedi. Oh, he's actually not a Jedi. Like it'd be kind of cool for him, for Wim to get a win, and that he was correct in Jod is his name. Yeah, Jod Nawood is the name he gives himself in this episode. So it'd be cool if he was actually a Jedi.
Yeah, I got the the Norwood. What was it? I thought it was Jordan. That's like I
I,
cut it so fast. I was like, okay,
I
is
only
it?
caught it because I keep the captions on when I watch the first time,
Oh,
so
you're
that
one of
like,
those.
well, I don't like watching with captions, but again, like I'm taking my notes. The second time through, I'm not watching with captions. I'm just paying attention to the show. But like I want to make sure I catch everything. So in the captions, it had Jod, so Jod, Na, N-A, Nawood, Nawood. So,
Okay.
but I that's probably, I don't know if they're gonna or call him that anymore, because he later is called Crimson Jack, which, if we're talking about pirates, Jack Sparrow with Disney, and now we've got Crimson Jack. So great connection right there. I wonder if his character will be similar to Captain Jack Sparrow. Love
I know.
those.
I thought the same thing because I took note here too. Crimson Jack. I was like, okay, where are we going with this?
Yeah, and I have my theory, and like I said, we'll get to it in a second. So, um, yeah,
How how'd you like about the whole escape? I thought I like it, but does it make sense? No.
for
When
them,
they get to the ship, and I'll have to ask you,
yeah,
he's like, "That's your ship," because we had a theory last week that like maybe that was his ship
mm-hmm.
previously. Um, but I don't know what they did. What they got on the ship and they tried to do like, oh, we had to rescue the droid.
Yeah. I don't think
But
this is so. My thought previously was that this was his ship and that SM-33 was his droid. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think so. Whatever this ship was on At Adden, it doesn't relate to the opening scenes that we saw with the pirates coming in and everything. I thought it was. It just turns out to be some kind of random pirate ship that's on this planet. Now we might discover later on in the show that it's not random, but to our knowledge right now, it is kind of random. Um, he is some other, his ship is the one that we saw from the beginning. So, um, I think it's, you're going back to your question. There was some point in the episode, if I recall correctly, that one of the kids, I think it was KB, because KB is like the analytical
yep,
kid.
yep.
She was like, we got out of there way too easily. Didn't she make some reference to that?
Yes, yes, yep. You're totally hitting the like
What you're going after?
where I was going. We're going with the question after question after question. Yeah, yep. You're totally hitting it.
I think in one way or another they got let off. Um, and I think it has to deal with that interaction that Jod or Crimson Jack had with his former crewmate when he was trying to free SM-33. So I think it's possible that they kind of let him off the hook a little bit, because I mean, they're pirates and they want that bounty. Yar. So, and Ad Adden is this rumored treasured planet, like pirate's dream right there. Um, so yeah, I think they escaped a little too easily. At the same time, it's a kids show, and sometimes logic kind of goes out the window a little bit when it comes to kids shows. But I think it's possible only because of the remark that I think it was KB made, that they got out too easily. Why? What's your thought on that?
Because that circles back to like kind of like I think I forget who suggested the plan, and all the kids were like, "Yeah, I'm in on yeah, yeah, me too, me too." Like it makes me think of Starship Trooper. I'm doing my part. I'm doing my part. I'm doing my part. Like everyone's just like all the kids are like, "Yeah, I'm in, I'm in, I'm in." I'm like, you know what you're getting into? Like
Yeah,
you're probably gonna die if you don't do it right. But
they have no
um,
idea what they're getting themselves into.
um, and but I do like the. Okay, tell me if you feel like this is like fictionally not accurate, but how they were stuck and they were trying to leave, and Jude Law's character, he's like, "Oh yeah, just throw it in a hyperspace,"
Yeah,
but they were stuck.
yeah.
It's like, well, then you're not. Are you accurately going in the direction that you're going?
Right. You would think that you would be altered because it's computer generated. When they're
Yeah.
jumping into hyperspace, it's not like they're just pushing a lever and being like, "All right, we're going." No, and I think Han Solo alludes to this in one of the movies that it's like,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
he's in the asteroids. No, if you run into it, I mean, if you don't make the right calculations, you run right into an asteroid. So yeah, I think that's a totally valid point in terms of if you have baggage that you're dragging along with you and you can't even get a steady jump, how is the computer going to be able to calculate that? So I think that that's a
So,
very valid
yeah, that's
point.
my one nitpick I caught in that episode. Granted, this episode was
Hey,
amazing. That's my one
nitpicking
nitpick
is
though.
part of Star Wars. Even the greatest movie of all time, in my eyes, Empire Strikes Back, has its many flaws in terms of like logic. Like, why are we flying the snow speeders straight onto the heads of the AT-ATs? Just fly to the sides. They can't shoot you. Come on, let's be smarter. Let's be smarter. But it's still the best movie of all time. So part of, in my opinion, part of the fun of Star Wars is kind of nitpicking it a little bit. So that's totally fine. And I agree with you. Like, if they aren't detached from this fuel line or whatever, how are you jumping into hyperspace? And the thing I thought um, while watching this is, why isn't that thing coming with them when they jump into hyperspace? Because like
I was
I
thinking the same thing.
so like because the only reason why I asked that is because we've watched shows where different ships they'll come and they'll dock onto like the larger ship and then they'll jump into hyperspace and that ship comes with them. So then why, when we have a fuel line, like, why wouldn't it pull the fuel like cells and everything with it when you jump into hyperspace? So I, I what the physics are in Star Wars in terms of what comes with you when you jump into hyperspace and what doesn't, I don't know. It's up to the writer of the show, I guess. But I that was something that definitely I questioned while I was watching. So you weren't alone in that.
But I do love how they didn't shy away though, because when the cord ripped apart,
Oh yeah.
when that whiplash and
I
it just destroyed.
as soon as it disconnected, I'm like, that better have some like reaction where it comes back and destroys something. Otherwise, what the heck's going on? And it did. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay,
So
good.
I was
Good.
I was like, okay, you got that wrong, but I was like, you got that right. Like,
Yeah.
what? And I was like, hell yeah.
But I'm sorry, that guy that got hit by it, he would have been
Oh,
obliterated. Like it just looked like it pushed him aside. Like that guy would just been, he would have been gone. Like he even like had to like you wouldn't even made a sound, man. You would have been just toasted.
he's the guy from uh how was it? I can't remember.
But
Whatever. Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he's like cleaning the. Oh God, what was it? That was gonna kill me.
it'll come to you like after we come or after we're done. That's what
I
always
know.
happens. But no, like it should have been more like what we saw in the opening scene of the first episode, where remember when they're like docking onto the ship, and then those like three guys were like swinging to set the detonators on the ship that they
Oh,
were
yes, yes, yep.
boarding. And you saw that one guy get shot. He got obliterated. Like
Boom,
that would have been the
boom.
same thing that happened to this guy if this whiplash of the fuel line hit him. Like that guy was toasted. He should have been toasted. Um, but no, I thought that was good. A fun scene. I thought it was hilarious too. Like the kids are just sitting there, and you just see out the port or the front of the ship they're on. You see the window behind them, and it's like you see those like transports and Jack getting shot at, and you're like, oh my god, that's great. They have no idea what's going on behind them, and it's just this chaos that's transpiring. But um, yeah. Anything further on that?
Um, is this something from? I feel like we talked, or you guys, Jen, you, Dustin, and in this crew, um, the owl.
Yeah. What about the owl?
Yeah, who's that? Like, was this something that you guys have seen before? Is it
No,
in
this is a new character.
totally new? Okay,
Kim. I'm gonna call her. I'm gonna call it Little Kim.
little Kim.
Yeah, and it's again because I have the captions on. It's Kymm. So that's how you pronounce the owl. But it reminded me of well, not well, kind of Winnie the Pooh owl. Um, what's that? It's another sci-fi movie, but it's a mechanical owl. Do you remember which one I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, you're not on the. Oh, what
It's
is
like a
that?
gold owl. Oh, isn't that from?
Is
It's
it
like mythological. Is that Odysseus? Like,
yeah, you're not on the. Oh, what is that?
not Ben Hur. No. Okay, that's what I'm gonna search on Google. Gold Owl movie. Clash of the Titans.
Yes, yes, yep, yep. You
That's
got
what I
it.
was
Yep.
that's what I was thinking when I saw. Um, but I think usually things in shows or movies, especially Disney, they're done on purpose, and owls are known to be wise, and she's kind of a wise character. So she's in this episode, she's leading Jod or Crimson Jack on, just stalling, trying to protect these kids. And she obviously has this wisdom too, because she has this knowledge of all the star systems. It's got all these maps. She's collecting all these trinkets and gadgets, and tokens, as trinkets and tokens, as she called them. So I think she's wise, which just reminded me of like the Winnie the Pooh owl as well. So, but no, as in terms of the Star Wars universe, we haven't met this character before. Um, I think, or do you have any other notes that you want to go through?
Um, looking at the towards the end, so they recovered the droid and
SM-33 is you
yeah,
say?
SM-33 and Jude Law's character had no interest. Anything I'm missing on that part?
No, but that
Or
was
you
part
just had
of
no interest with droids in general?
um that was the point, or that was one of the points where I'm like, okay, Jude Law has, or his character has had no previous interactions with SM-33 or this ship or anything. Um, I don't know. I think that's something to yet to be determined. I think it's fascinating that when we look at the home planet of the kids at Atten, there's definitely a focus on droids in terms of like security and protection. Um, and I think that's intentional because I think it's kind of, obviously they're trying to hide this system from the rest of the galaxy. And droids are probably the most reliable in terms of preventing from like slipping in revealing something where human error, you're going to sleep or slip on something. So because you notice uh droids are security, droids are teachers, droids are like driver, they're everything. So they're the ones that are controlling. I'm not saying they're the source of the controlling, but they're the mechanisms using to contain everything. So and Jude Law's character is more of a, he's kind of a pirate. He droids he's unlawful and droids follow the law. So I think there's, you know, a reason behind maybe him not trusting droids necessarily. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I have my mind going in different directions that what I think of,
Well, where was your
but
mind going?
or I don't know. I think it's just where they're excuse me, um the society that the droids you can easily manipulate them and then make them do what you
That's
want.
true too.
So that's I feel like because that's right now we talked about last week was this society on what's this planet called again?
At Atten.
At Atten. That these droids are just they seem different. They seem like they're programmed to
Mm-hmm.
do what they're supposed to do, and that's why like I feel like this is kind of a weird. If we get in that time, if we I have my maid, but it's a droid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, it's just like we get to this AI kind of society.
Yeah. It's like Jetson style. I got this robot
Yes.
that's my maid.
Yes,
but
exactly.
but yeah, to your point, I mean, when Jude Law's character is searching for SM-33 and he's like turning on all those droids and whatnot, he gets through three of them and he makes the comment like droids, like he doesn't really care for droids all too much, to say the least. And the kids, they Jude Law and the kids, they make it on the ship and they're ready to leave, and the kids are like, well, we got to get our droid. And he's like, well, it's just a droid, like. And they make the kids make the comment, but you're a Jedi, you don't leave no man behind. It's like, Jedi don't say that, and it's just a droid. So I don't think he cares all too much about droids. I know, and us as viewers, I mean, we were just saying last time, like, droids steal the show all the time. You can't leave Smee SM-33 there. Like, he's a big portion of the show. We want to continue to have him, so don't leave him behind, Mr. Jude Law. But all right, so just just to kind of do a little quick run through of this episode. So we open up, and again, like, so as I'm talking through this, feel free to chime in on like your opinions and your thoughts behind this. I have this kind of segmented, so I'll stop between each one, but just kind of a breakdown through the episode. And I I know we were talking about, oh, we need to be done by a certain time, and it's already 11:07. So we'll see how quickly we can get through this. So it opens up and we're on at Atten. You see a droid, like security droids walking around. Uh Parents of the missing kids are sitting there together. There's an emphasis on droids finding the kids, and they determined that the kids have left the barrier on a starship. Parents start arguing, but Wim's dad sits quietly. So, uh, what do you have any thoughts of what's going on here as this is playing out? Like, the thing I question is, like, why is Wim's dad sitting there like separate from the other parents who are like arguing everything? It just felt a little suspicious to me. Like, his dad maybe knows more than these other parents on the situation. We know this planet is like super secret from the rest of the galaxy. So I don't know. I just felt that there was something fishy about that. Because if I'm a parent, I'd be more like the other parents, being like, we need to get these kids back. Like, come on, let's waste no time. And they were talking about, we need to get the whole head of the supervisor or whatever but obviously the supervisor doesn't want to communicate out to the other systems because then it reveals them. But as a parent, I'd want to do everything else. And his dad is just sitting back.
Hence, like looking back at Obi-Wan series, how they
Yeah.
immediately looked Obi-Wan, be like, "We need help.
Yeah.
Find
R-
Leia."
right.
I'd
uh,
be doing the same thing. No, I totally get.
exactly.
Yep.
So I don't know. It just, and from the first couple episodes, his dad seemed a little standoffish, even being a parent. Like, oh, here's your lunch money for the week. For the week, he comes back that same night. It's like, why are you giving him lunch money for the week when you're going to be back the same day? I don't know. He just seems like he seems to be doing something either sketch or something that's supposed to be extremely private. So I don't know. I was just getting red flags were kind of going up for me on the dad and when that was happening. Um, why do I have the Jedi or Keepers of the Peace? Everyone knows that. Then okay. So I think I wrote that down. Oh, I see. Okay. I skipped a portion. So then we're back at the pirate port in the jail cell area. The kids are leaving with the stranger, so Jude Law. He clearly does have force powers. The man admits he needs their ship to leave. And I put down his name, Jod Nawad. Maybe he is a Jedi, question mark. He keeps speaking of the force and the force will provide. And I wrote down this quote that the kids were saying, and they were like, Jedi are keepers of the peace. Everyone knows that. And then as soon and okay, to set the scene here. So Jod or Jude Law's character, well, maybe that's intentional. Jude Law, Jod. I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh, it's kind of like combining that name into a single syllable. So after they escape, there's like this guard that walks by, and Jude Law's character is like, okay, you stay here. And then he pursues that person. And then the camera focuses on the kids and they're talking about Jedi. And they're like, oh, they're keepers of the peace. He's a Jedi. He's, whatnot. And then after they say that, like he kills that guy. So like I thought that was like intentional and kind of leading you to believe that maybe he's not a Jedi. Jedis are keepers of the peace. And then he just kills this guard and takes his weapon and everything. So um and so I guess that kind of goes to your question from before. And then they're walking through the port, and I noticed that the cook from the first couple episodes was like
Oh
sitting
yeah.
right there. Did you see that?
Yeah. Yep.
And
Yep.
they just walked right by.
Yep.
Um, I thought that was kind of suspicious.
I had definitely a WTF moment when I saw that. I was like, wait, what? But I was
And
trying to rush to get through the episode so we could do the podcast here.
yeah. Um, and then Ferd meant, and again, yeah, so she did say this. She said that was too easy. And Jod says, you're welcome. So again, going back to whether he uses force powers or not, I thought maybe he was using some kind of force distraction or force power that like hid them from everyone else or allowed them not to notice. I don't know. But it was definitely intentional that they said that. So then they take the transport back to their ship. Their ship has a cloud of like dirt and smog around it, and they're like, and Jude Law was like, "That's your ship? I don't want to fly this." Jod says he knows someone who can help them get home, who knows the galaxy very well. The kids say they aren't leaving without SM-33, who can help them make repairs. Jod says they don't need him. You just got to get to their friends. And the kids say, Jedi don't leave people behind. And Jod says, Jedi don't say that. And it's a droid. But the kids convince him to go back and get the droid. Going back to that scene when he goes to find the droid and he encounters all those, I thought it was pretty cool that there was a battle droid from the prequels in there that he
Oh
turns
yeah,
on.
that was awesome.
Turns it
Yep.
on, and the droid says, "Did we win?" He breaks down.
We win. That's
I thought that
awesome.
was hilarious.
I,
Like
I,
these poor battle droids, they aren't that good at anything. They suck. And then did we win? And then he breaks down right away. So if that's a sign of anything, you probably didn't win.
Oh, that's awesome. They
Uh,
remember that. I totally forgot about that part.
hey, and I love battle droids. They're like They're like the lovable fools. Just that they just talk about terrible droids, but they got a place in your heart.
Which I'm
Uh,
still trying to take in as I watch Clone Wars. You've had all that
mhm.
experience. I'm still taking it in, so I'm sure I'll take more and more like quotes from the the battle droids and everything.
They're so bad. I don't know. I mean, it's probably a wasted investment. They probably could have done better with more efficient droids than the B1. There's other droids that they get in like prequels that are definitely more efficient, but they probably wanted more numbers, and I don't know. They just weren't that great. They're like stormtroopers who can't hit anything. Um, so Jude does find SM-33, and then while he's freeing him, a former crewman of Jude Law's spots him, and they start having a little conversation, which leads up to him revealing to the rest of the crew that he's there. Like, oh, you can call let's talk this over with Captain Brutus a little bit. Now we never see that conversation because then we flash forward and we're back on the ship and the kids are arguing whether or not he's a Jedi. And then you see in the background those transports coming towards the ship and they're like firing and bombarding each other and everything. So, but Jod does end up boarding with 33, yells at them, let's go. And they try to escape, but the fuel line's still intact, like we were talking about before, preventing them from jumping. It starts tangling up with other ships. Jod wants them to go into hyperdrive and they jump and it breaks the line, which whips back and causes destruction across the port. So we already talked through that a little bit. We probably don't need to go back into that. So in hyperspace, they turn on the droid 33, SM-33. And right away he claims, intruder, there's an intruder. But the kids tell him he's a Jedi, and then he helped free them all, including SM-33. And then SM-33 is like, Jedi? So like a droid would probably have more knowledge of, or direct knowledge and able to tap into that information. So he's questioning, like, it doesn't seem right that there's a Jedi here. It just, it doesn't add up in terms of calculations. Um, and this is where Jod is just standing in the background, just eating, and everyone's watching him like, are you actually a Jedi? It's just eating his food. And I wrote down a note here at that point. I'm like, what a great actor. Like, because like I'm just laughing this whole time, and him being able to just stay in character, just eating food, making all these noises. I'm like, okay, that's pretty funny. And then Jod is walking around the ship, taking clothes and weapons off, the dead skeletons. I don't know if he actually wears them or uses them, but he's kind of like looking for stuff essentially. And then 33 approaches him, and there's like this obvious tension between SM-33 and Jod. The Jod asks if the kids are really from Aden, and the droid is like, I can tell you one thing, they're from somewhere. Like, okay, well, that's great information. But it was funny because he was like, after he said that, he was like, and then he walks away. And then like a second later, he returns and he just looks at John again and he's like, like, what was the point of that? But it was kind of funny. So then the kids start talking about their family and trying to understand back home. So now they're like even questioning, okay, what's going on back home? Like, what do your parents do? This is what my parents do. And then they kind of ended that conversation revolving around the money. And then that's when like Jod was coming back and they like intentionally hit it. So it all revolves around like this old Republic credits and I don't know what they're doing. What is it? The Great Work? Is that what they call it? That's
Yeah,
taking place.
yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
The
yeah,
Great Work. So something very suspicious around that. Um, so Jod comes in and then tells them that, they need to go to sleep. The kids go to sleep, but KB is still awake. And Jod asks her if she actually sleeps, and she tells him that he's likely not telling the truth. And she mentioned like she calculated the odds, like that you're not a Jedi. It just doesn't seem right. And Jod says, not everything in the universe can be calculated. So going back to your question, like this, it's intentional that you're trying to, the show is trying to make you jump around between, is Jod actually a Jedi or not? So I think it's great that we have different opinions because I think that's the intention. We're supposed to be in this situation. We're not sure. And we're going to find out eventually. Um, I'll pause there. Anything you want to speak to or comes to mind as we're talking through that?
No, I think everything you've talked about, your questions and kind of the curiosity about stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I'm at too.
Okay, perfect.
You kind of took the words out of my mouth of um the just about everything, especially Jude Law's character.
Yeah.
Is he a Jedi or not? I don't.
Yep. I think that's definitely intentional. So they all arrive to Jod's friend's home moon, which that was pretty cool visually because it's a moon and you've got the big, large planet behind them. And as they're like walking across the moon, you get the pretty cool looking background. They land a bit of ways away from where they're going to. And the kids even ask, why didn't we land closer? And his response was, you need the exercise. I thought that was great. What an adult response towards kids. Like that's perfect. He then admits that he doesn't trust her, meaning the friend that he's going to say 100%, and that she might stab them in the back. And then the kids were like, what? And he's like, no, not literally. Like, and they're like, well, what do you mean? And well, you'll understand it when you get older. Like, I love this dynamic of like adults and kids, like the innocence of kids and the literal literalism. I don't know how kids take things literal when you say it to them, and adults are just, it's kind of an expression. So they approach. It looks like an like observatory of where she's at, which makes sense because she's got all these maps and knowledge of like the galaxy and everything. So this is why he's bringing everyone there because we're trying to find this planet. And they approach the door of it. The friend sees them approaching on the camera, thinks Jod has captured these kids, and she sends a message to like wanting a patrol to arrest him to help the kids. Jod walks to the door where she greets him on the camera droids. Jod says he's brought her something special. And once he says that, then she lets them in. She has all these trinkets and tokens from thousands of different worlds around. It's like, oh, I see you've tidied up the place when it's like a full mess of all these like crates full of stuff. And come to find out, it's the friend is Kim, as we've mentioned, which is an owl creature. She asks the kids where they are from. They say at Aten. She tells them that their home was purposely hidden from the rest of the galaxy. And she brings like this scroll map. It's not really a map, it's a scroll from the Old Republic. So we're getting more into that Old Republic aspect of it. And she said that all the worlds on the scroll were destroyed except for at Aten, the planet that these kids say they're from. So in an effort to discover the kids or where they're from, the kids are like, well, we need a map. But Jod says the kids are the map. So I'm kind of curious about that. And I'm still trying to, as I'm watching this, I'm still trying to figure out if the planet is actually at Aten or if that's like a cover for, what the name of their planet actually is. So I think that's still to be determined. Maybe it's supposed to be symbolic, but I don't know. We'll see. Kim, I thought this was interesting. So Kim asked what planets they are near, like where's their home planet near? What other worlds are by them? And they have no idea. They haven't learned about what's surrounding them. They've heard of other planets. And they're like, well, we've heard of Coruscant and Alderaan. And the owl creature Kim was like, missed the war, did you? Because we all know Alderaan no longer exists because it got exploded by the Death Star. But then she starts prying them for a little more information. They talked about the barrier. They talked about what was the other thing they brought up? The barrier, and I can't remember, but it allowed her to narrow it down to essentially 10,000 different systems. And Fern was like, 10,000 systems, this is going to take us forever. But KB was like, well, we just eliminated 99.99% of all the other planets out there. So we're making progress a little bit.
Sorry. Outer Reach. Is that what they called it? Or
What was that?
Outer Reach?
Outer Reach?
Is that what they called that?
They
Like,
might have. I missed it.
okay. Oh, well, I don't want to sidetrack it, but
No, no.
no, keep going, man. You got me going. I'm like,
Bogey's captivated here.
I'm
Um,
totally in. Whatever.
well, and it's in this conversation that they happen that the term or the name Crimson Jack comes out. So this is what the owl creature Kim knows Jod as Crimson Jack. And so now that we're here, I'll get to kind of my theory here. Do you remember the movie? You watched the movie Solo, right?
Yeah. Did not like it. It's my least favorite
Least
movie.
favorite.
I've watched it once, and that's how. But I
Do
never
you
want
remember
to.
then? Do you remember the name of the crime syndicate that they were a part of?
Oh no, sorry. I just
It's Crimson Dawn.
okay, okay.
Do you remember who was heading that crime syndicate? The big
Mall.
mall
Yep, yep. That's it. That was the only part of that movie that I loved. I was
was the
like,
reveal.
I was like, ooh, here we go. But then we're not. That's gonna go nowhere. But yeah.
Okay, so here's all right. So here's my theory on who Jod actually is. Um, okay, let's talk about pirates a little bit. When we know of pirates, they all have their like special little names, right? Now, usually their nicknames have something to deal with who they actually are, right? You've got Captain Hook. Why is he Captain Hook? Because he has a hook for a hand. You've got like One Eye Willie. Why is he One Eye Willie? Because he has one eye. Like their names are almost literal in who they are. So we know this Jude Law's character, according to Kim, the owl, is named Crimson Jack. So what could that be a reference to? He's a pirate. He's a person that came from the crime syndicate Crimson, and his name's Jack. So maybe Crimson Jack is a former Crimson crime syndicate person. And where does his force powers come? And I mean, he said the force earlier in this episode, he said the force flows through everyone. So everyone has the opportunity to, manipulate or use the force. Well, he could have learned from the head of the crime syndicate Crimson Dawn, Maul, who is obviously force sensitive. He was a Sith for a while. So maybe there's a connection between Jude Law's character and Darth Maul. We know Maul is no longer a Sith. He is actually, and as you will learn as you progress through Clone Wars and Rebels, that
Spoiler.
spoiler, he wants his revenge against the Sith. But he could have easily been trained if he was part of the Crimson Dawn crime syndicate. Could have learned from Darth Maul. So I don't think he's a Jedi. I think he's someone that potentially could have been trained under Maul. Maybe originally he was a Jedi Padawan, but fell after Order 66, fell into the Crimson Dawn crime syndicate to hide away from the Empire and everything. And then learned under him. And then here it became a pirate. And now here we are. So I don't know. that's just my theory. I'll throw it out. So will it be that? Probably not. That's more of like my head canon on what would be really cool if it turned out that way, but I don't know. That's a shot in the dark there. Um, so then Jod does figure out that Kim is stalling. Um, as she like called, as we mentioned before, she called it in, needed a patrol. The patrol reports in, and Jod is like, all right, yep, for sure. So he like shoots the communication thing and blows that up. But it's cool. She called in X-Wings. Well, maybe she didn't call in them, but that's what got sent in. So we got X-Wings in this episode. I thought that was pretty awesome. That really gave that Star Wars feeling to it. Um, so then Jod's getting them and they're trying to leave to go back to the ship. But Kim tells KB, she's like, if don't trust him, he's like he's not a good guy. And if you need any help, you can contact me at any time. So that's foreshadowing. I feel like she's gonna reach out to Kim at some point to get help. Um, but then we get to my favorite part of this whole episode was when they're on the ship and they're fleeing. These X-Wings are at them, and Jude Law's characters like are assigning everyone to do stuff. And they're like, "You're not the captain," and the droid was saying like the same thing. You can't give me orders. Um, but he did. He took control. He he signs Neil to be the pilot, and then he signs Wim and Fern to take over the turrets. And then KB is kind of doing like navigation type things. But I just thought it was so cool and so realistic when Wim got put into that like turret. He puts the first girl in, he puts Fern in, and then he like brings Wim to the second turret. And Wim just has this like extremely excited look on his face, like, I get to go in the turret. And then he gets into it and he's like, oh my God. And it just starts like what anyone would do as a kid, like on a PlayStation game or whatever, that's doing it. Like you just start shooting the firing button. Like you're not really aiming, you're just shooting. And then like someone hits a target and he's like, I got him. And then you hear Fern chime in like, that was my shot. So I don't know. I just thought it was like this nostalgia there and like being a kid and being like it just made me feel like I was playing video games back in the day. So I don't know what you were feeling at that point.
When you're reading that, that was my last bullet point on my note sheet was
Yeah.
that scene. It just totally makes me like it brings you back of like just in a turret scene. Makes me think of the when Luke Skywalker's in like the turret on the Millennium Falcon. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
I got one. It's like good job, kid. There's still more out
Yeah.
there.
Don't get cocky.
Don't get cocky.
Or if you're watching the Family Guy episode, great shot, kid. Don't get penisy.
Do it,
But
but that totally was like like one of like I was like, oh, I've played so many video games where I was just like, oh yeah, this is so cool. So
at the same
totally.
time, I'm like, but you're shooting at the good guys. Like, don't shoot down. I knew they weren't going to shoot down one of them because they wouldn't put that on one. Like Disney's not going to put that on a kid that oh they shot down a pilot and ended up killing the pilot. No, they're not going to do that. So I knew the pilots would be safe, but it's kind of funny that they shot them. But they end up getting away, and then the X-wing pilots land, and one of them's talking with Kim, and Kim was like, "You let them get away," and they're like, "Well, we can't shoot them down. They got kids on, the ship, so we're not going to do that." And the pilot was like, "Do you know where they're heading?" And Kim was like, "If I told you, you wouldn't believe me." And then that's where the episode ends. I'll be honest, I was, before they showed who the pilot was, it seemed a little bit dramatic, like they were slowly trying to reveal who the pilot was. I thought it was going to be Carson Teva, which is the rebel pilot that we see in Mandalorian. We see him in Ahsoka. I thought they were going to reveal it to be him. I was a little disappointed that it wasn't, but then at the same time, like, well, I guess he can't be everywhere. You can't just use the same in the whole like New Republic, military. it's not going to be Carson Teva. That's always the one that you see at all these places. But I don't know. I thought they were going to lead it to be that. I thought there was going to be a reveal, and it was just some random pilot that we've never seen before. So, but that wraps up the breakout down right there. So I don't know. I love that scene as we were talking about Wim in the turret, and he's just shooting them down. It's like you're playing a video game, man. That's what Star Wars is about. That's what it's about right there. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to see where we go. We still have a lot of questions that have left to be answered. We've talked about many of them just here on this episode itself. Um, but yeah, I like the direction we're going, and it's just that it's a fun show in my eyes. It's fun. It's it's not something that's going to be like revolutionary for Star Wars by any means. Now, they might have some reveals or something like that, but it's not supposed to be huge. It's just supposed to be an adventure. And that's exactly what it is. And it's hitting the mark there. I'm really enjoying it.
Go stand by me.
Yeah. Stand by me. Stand by me. Goonies, Stranger Things.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
That's what we're hitting here. And they're doing a great job. And I just hate going back to what we talked about at the beginning. Like, we get 30, 40 minutes, and now I have to wait a week till the next episode. And it's just like, and we got the holidays coming up. Let's see how many more? Because we probably won't record on the week of Christmas. Yeah, because it's Christmas Eve that the
Yeah,
next
is on
episode.
a, what, that Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yeah, Tuesday's the 24th. So we probably won't record that day.
And who
Uh,
knows if are they going to release an episode or are they going to wait?
no, well, I mean, they could change things because originally the premieres were going to be on Tuesday, but then they moved that to Monday. Um, but as of what I know right now, all subsequent episodes will be released on Tuesdays.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of a risky move when two of those are going to be on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Like,
Right.
probably want to move those to the Mondays. Probably be a little more efficient in your viewership, to say the least. But um, yeah, we will record next week, and then that might be I mean, this is episode 40 of season 4, and if you're a returning fan, you know that at the end of the year we start the next season. So if we're not able to record on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, it might be our last episode next week before the end of the year, so of season 4. Now, I mean, we could record after like maybe the 26th or 27th of December, but that's all TBD. Holidays, you never know plans. They get busy, so we'll see how it goes. But we're wrapping up season 4 up here pretty quick. Bogey, you're along for the ride, and then you get to start off season 5 with us.
And Dustin is coming into town, right? Next week,
He's coming in this weekend.
this weekend. So watch out. Maybe we'll do a, I don't know, a special podcast. We'll do the holiday special,
It's
maybe.
how maybe
Maybe.
that's the
Little
intent. We want to do. I mean,
little teaser because I got nothing planned for next weekend. So
yeah, and
if
I was actually asking him what because he's like, what are you doing Saturday? And I'm like, well, you're the one coming into town, so maybe I need to understand what your plans are, what your schedule is. And I know he's got something Friday. He's got something all 3 days. So it's like, all right, well, when are we actually going to be able to do something? Um, but maybe Saturday evening. So you said you're fairly open.
yeah, I mean if you guys want to do something, I don't know what again. Pardon me. Um, what do you guys want? Whatever you want to do, I'd be open. I open my weekend next weekend. If we if we want to do some random podcast.
I would love to like
and all of us like
Here's my here's
left
my vision.
left and right
Yeah,
to your screen.
here's my vision. Like, I mean, it might not, maybe it's at like a brewery or something, but like all three of us just maybe doing like a short little recording um of
Oh
something
yeah,
of
okay.
all three of us together. I would love to be able to do that. Now, again, we've got to get schedules to fit and everything, but that's what my vision would be. So I'm hoping we can do something like that. I mean, take advantage of the opportunity of Dustin being in town. And I mean, we've only had one other episode where we've had multiple people in the same screen because Dustin and I, we went to Kentucky and we did a special podcast from his twin brother's brewery in there. And that was a lot of fun. And that was only like a 20-30 minute episode that we did, but it was great. So that's what I envision, doing something where we can get the three of us together and do a little recording episode. Maybe we'll talk about that. Have you
Yeah, at
watched
the
the
very
holiday
least.
special yet?
Yeah, at the very least, the three of anyone else
Yeah.
uh, of the podcast here. We can get
Yeah. Obviously, it opening up to the whole team. But I know more so three of us that have been able to attend as of recent. But, and well, Greg lives in Wisconsin, so he wouldn't be able to join us physically for that. Um, but yeah, we'll see
I
what
mean,
we
that'd
do.
be, as I just said, that's all I gotta say for the last words. That'd be awesome. We can get this planned in a, for my sake, if it's planned,
Yeah,
so I know in advance of what
we
day.
we don't want you to know, Bogey. We want you to wonder, kind of like how you're wondering whether
Whether
Jude
my
Law's character a Jedi or not. We want you to
whether
let.
my dad's uh Darth Vader
Yeah,
or
mystery makes things more interesting, Bogey. So it makes it dramatic. Um, but yeah, that would be great if we could get all of us together. So stay tuned on that. Um, if we did, it would probably be Saturday. That'd be my guess.
yeah, I mean, yeah, totally. Yep.
Saturday evening, probably. Well, maybe the three of us can do, because I know because Dustin's coming with his wife, probably his kids, maybe. So
Okay.
that's why like it'd probably be on the shorter spectrum of things because maybe they can go do something and we go off to the side like, all right, let's do a little podcast. And but have you watched the holiday special yet?
No, I have not. It's
Okay.
on my watch list. I might watch it tonight before I go to bed.
Weren't you already asleep earlier today? No.
Yeah, taking a long nap.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I would so because I don't know if we would be able to. I think what we were originally talking about, we were like, okay, let's watch it together, but I don't know if we'll have the time for that. Just knowing Dustin's schedule, so maybe watch it ahead of time, and then we'll kind of talk about our opinions of it when we get
Okay.
together. Does that sound good?
Yeah. Put that
It's a
on my
treat.
homework.
It's a treat, and it relates to what we're watching with the Skeleton Crew because that little creature that, well, if I didn't know already, I wouldn't say that he is like an Ewok. But if you've seen the show or if you've seen the Ewok show, Teak. Oh man, okay, never mind. Teak is not on the holiday special. I am mixing things up. He's on Ewok Adventures. So totally erase what I just said. But no, watch the holiday special. It's a treat. It connects with that. Neil's family's watching the little circus thing on the projector at their house, and that is what's from holiday special. So you'll get the connection there. It's really weird. It's really really weird. just just to warn you. But now that we're at 11:43, I'm going to close us off here because this is what always happens. It's no surprise. Any final thoughts or comments about episode 3 of the Skeleton Crew, called very interesting as an astrogation problem?
Yeah, no comments right now. It's just a bit of fun. It's definitely better than
It's
acolytes.
one thumb up for you, right? One thumb up. One thumb up. Two thumb ups for me. One thumb up from both. Oh, one in that. Okay. All right.
I definitely
Stick to your
want
guns. Don't let me convince you one way or another. Stick to your guns.
one thumb up.
One thumb up. I like it. Shout out to Tawara. Sorry, I'm trying to pronounce Ta U Aroa, if that's your name. Said, let's go, bros. we're bros. So shout out to you for your chat. Sorry, just now getting to it now that we're at the end of it.
Fist
I was
pump.
so immersed into our conversation that forgot the shout out there, but appreciate you following and listening to us. But with that, I will just speak to our social media handles really quick so you can find us on Twitter at DetBlock AA23pod, on Instagram at Detention_block_AA_23, our Facebook group and YouTube channels, Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. And then you can find us on TikTok at DetBlock AA23. Again, hit that subscribe button. We have prizes. We want to get rid of. And I think it's fun. I said that we want to get rid of again. And one of our followers was laughing at that I said get rid of, probably alluding to the fact that why would I want to get rid of Star Wars stuff? But I want to gift. I have things I want to gift out to our followers, but we have to hit the metrics first. Once we hit those subscribers, then we will have a drawing to give out the prizes that I have. So again, hit that subscribe button, like, download, follow, rate, review, all of it. We greatly appreciate any little thing that you can do. Yeah. Any final thoughts, Bogey, before we close out?
Thank you for watching. Let's keep this train going. I
Yeah,
think this is a good show that compared to Acolytes. So
for sure.
let's keep this
100%.
let's keep this train going.
So breath of fresh air, that's for sure. So with next week's episode, it will be halfway through, but looking forward to it. So with that, have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. And we look forward to talking to you next week when we talk episode 4. So with that, as always, may the force be with you.